Yeah, welcome back to the NFL podcast is what I was going to say. Welcome back to the Flurry Sports podcast. We're doing it live, people. Some of you are saying, oh, Flurry Sports starting a new podcast. No. Episode 169. So buckle up and jump in the chat or comment afterwards, whatever the hell you want. But just know that you can listen to this as an audio podcast, basically anywhere you listen to audio podcasts as well. Also, YouTube is starting a new thing where they're hosting podcasts. You'll see our entire catalog on here very soon as well. Obviously, if you're listening to just audio podcasts, just know that you'll be able to listen to us on YouTube. But for whatever reason you listen to YouTube's music, lucky you. You got a solution. But we're here to talk about the NFL playoffs, essentially, in typical us fashion. I think this past weekend was miles ahead of last weekend, by the way, in terms of football.
I think it was one of the best weekends of football I can remember watching in terms of like 4 games. Like I watched literally all 4. Even the Baltimore game was its own kind of fun. You know?
Yeah.
Sometimes you need a squash match.
That is true. It's good to start with that one too. But also, I mean, it was tied at halftime. Like it wasn't like a complete blowout.
100%. It was tied at halftime. The Texans would have needed a lead, but it was a good, fun game. Like, I think it's a clear, like, Texans had chance to keep it close, and they didn't. I also think just clearly the best team in football. The Ravens look so good. Lamar Jackson, clearly the best player in football.
Yes.
Surprise, I guess. It wasn't Jason Kelce. Shout out to him. We'll get to him later, but it's like, it's just funny. I'm somehow like, somehow an offensive lineman's overrated. I can't believe it's possible.
No. That's not the take our show's going to stand on.
Okay. So sorry. It was a great weekend for offensive linemen, by the way. They were focusing on Penei Sewell.
Yeah.
He got a lot of love. Williams, I believe, for the 49ers got a lot of love. The guy they stole in that trade. And
insane. Yeah, Trent Williams is insane.
Jason Kelce is walking out of press boxes like an escaped zoo animal. Great weekend for offensive linemen.
Skip Bayless didn't like what Jason Kelce did, by the way. He said he's just doing it for social media clout. I'm like, oh my God, Skip. You just filmed yourself. You set up a camera in your kitchen, walked out of the kitchen, filmed yourself walking back into the kitchen to throw away Cowboys jerseys last week. And you're talking about social media clout.
Do you think Skip Bayless ever like looks down and takes is like, did it again? Because that's classic Skip Bayless. That's so him to be like, what is the opinion here that no one thinks?
Yes. He is so good. It has to be a character. It has to.
And he's good at it. He's really good at it. So
the best at it.
Speaking of being the best at something, Zach, Lamar Jackson. This is crazy.
There's a lot of things crazy, but I just want to say, go back to the beginning of this season. Go back to last season. Wow. Go back to the season before that. I said the entire year Lamar Jackson's my MVP, by the way. And 2 years in a row, Ravens were my Super Bowl pick, but they kept getting fucking hurt. This shouldn't surprise anybody.
No,
is what I'm trying to say. They kept having the best roster, in my opinion, in football. The Eagles were the only team that rivaled it last year. And then they just kept getting hurt. They kept getting, finishing with a better seed in terms of draft rankings because they kept getting hurt. So they kept getting draft talent as well. This team, if I had to design my perfect team in my head, and I had to do it for like coaching classes and stuff, like designing what kind of philosophy, what kind of plays, what kind of players, this is my ideal football team to an absolute T. And it's so much fun to see it like in action. And like you just said, they are the best team in football, not close in my opinion.
Without Mark Andrews. Not that he's I've had jokes on the show about how like they were going to collapse when he went down, but he's a top 5 easy tight end in football. And I think you could argue top 3, but he's up there for an elite talent in his position. And it didn't slow them down. Like, I'm sure they would argue that they'd be even better with him, but like between Zay Flowers and an elaborate backfield that nobody gets enough credit. Somehow no one's appreciated enough. Which, by the way, that's how you know who's going to win the Super Bowl, who's most underappreciated. Because who's got the loudest voice screaming, no one believed in us? Which, by the way, makes Detroit scary.
Yeah. I mean, Detroit and the Ravens are the two who have the ability to say that. There's a lot of people on Twitter right now, though, going, no one believed in you 15. They doubted you. They said Lamar was better than you 15. It's turned into a meme now, but it started as genuine. I mean, the Chiefs are going to go all the way to the Super Bowl with this doubter mentality, and it's unbelievable.
It is insane. I think you have been on top of the Ravens. I think credit there. I will say, this is an aspect of this I don't think enough people are talking about. Because I heard Harbaugh today be like, no one values our quarterback. No one values us, and basically like, I don't know where it came from. You, John, is where it came from, because a year ago we had to deal with you not signing Lamar.
That's not Harbaugh, though. To be honest, like, if we take a trip back in time, no, it's not. He said he 200%. I remember the quote because I'm like, this is a stupid quote. He 200% wants Lamar Jackson back and believes he's going to be back. But to your point with that, there was teams outwardly exclaiming, like in the news, saying that they were not going to go after Lamar Jackson, and no one made an offer. There's 31 teams who could have gotten Lamar Jackson this offseason, essentially, for like 2 first-round picks.
Yes. I think there's 2 conversations happening. I think one, the value of Lamar Jackson, and I think we can have that conversation right now because that's crazy. But the point I was getting at, and Harbaugh's not the voice of it. I think the GM was, and the league. My point being, I think Lamar was pushed down by the league because they hate people representing themselves. They hate that he won that bet. And I think part of the Ravens, no one talks about it. Everything worked out for the Ravens. Like a year ago, it was like a joke of like, how are they going to pull this off? They're in shambles. Everything worked. They re-signed all the guys they wanted. Lamar came back, and I feel like they didn't get credit for it because they didn't want to reward Lamar for doing that. And I think the reason the Ravens aren't talked about enough is because that's not where the league wanted the spotlight on Lamar and on the way they ran things. Because the league likes when people spend money and when people go through agencies. So I think that's pretty fricked. But on the Lamar Jackson value, I mean, quarterbacky, dude. Is he quarterbacky enough? It's trending everywhere. I don't know how many goddamn touchdowns a guy's got to throw for him to be the best quarterback in the league.
No. Yeah. I mean, he's the best player who plays quarterback. He has the arm strength. He has the arm talent. And then, by the way, he's maybe second best runner of the football left in the playoffs to Christian McCaffrey, who's the best running back in football. And you could argue he's better than Christian McCaffrey, by the way. He got hit one time and the DB left the game injured. Like Lamar Jackson, you could put the doubts of his health to the side because I think that was the whole thing with his contract situation last offseason. The Ravens, I think you could argue, got a good deal. I think you could argue Lamar Jackson's underpaid because of it. And that whole situation came up because, Lamar 2 seasons, I believe, in a row didn't finish the year because he got hurt and, come back, whatever. So the Ravens wanted to lowball him. They wanted to just say, hey, go out there, see what your price is because we're not going to pay top dollar for you. And to your point, they won their bet. But all Lamar Jackson's done is get better. The new offense certainly helps him out. But the one player, the whole thing with Lamar Jackson in the past was he can't throw, right? He can't throw the football. And you can say whatever you want about Mark Andrews. I don't think he's as good as you do, but he was the only player Lamar Jackson could complete a pass to in the past. And they took him away, and Lamar Jackson got even better throwing the football. So I think that just shows how good he is this year. If we're doing a sports talky segment here, I guess this is very sports talky, but yeah, he's been unbelievable. He's been by far the best player in football. And just now he's starting to get talked about, and it's only because there's 4 quarterbacks left.
Yeah. And listen, You're right. This is a little talky. So I think there's clear innuendos happening here. I don't think we're necessarily the show that people will have come to first to hear this is because he's black. But I think that's a huge part of it. And I've got 2 points to make on that in a very Flurry Sports way. Point number one, they still haven't turned Taysom Hill into a wide receiver. Don't believe that guy still ends up in the backfield sometimes. Like he's not a wideout, and I've had to listen to like Lamar's whole career of like maybe he should be a quarterback. What are we doing? That's point one. Point two, I have a scouting report here from Lamar Jackson in the NFL draft. Are you ready for this?
Can't wait for it.
Okay. The strengths start pretty good. This is from I like just went to the top search. So this is not like Kuiper or anything, but it's walterfootball.com. So I don't know if this is the voice, but it's the literally first one I found. So I didn't cherry pick it. Strengths. Okay. Strengths aren't terrible. We get to the weaknesses and see if we notice a theme here that could possibly be, who knows, connected to race. Strengths, rare, incredible athlete. Rare arm talent. Yep. Great. Already sounding like a museum project. Cool. Strong arm, instincts, not brain, but instincts. Throws with good timing, stands tall in the pocket, knows he's going to get hit. That's a funny strength. Okay. Field vision, works through progressions, plenty of arm strength to go vertical, can make off-platform throws, has a pocket presence, amazing mobility, rare running ability, extremely fast runner, threat to rip off long runs on any carry, elusive.
Yep.
Mobility, slippery runner and in the pocket, hard for defenders to square up, hard to sack, mastered his offense, more complex college system, resilient, confident, developed field vision. Okay.
Perfect. That sounds like a great prospect.
Great prospect. I don't know what happened there. Okay. Weaknesses. Ready for this?
Yeah.
Inaccurate. Okay. That could be legit.
Against what he just said, but that's
okay.
Fine.
Poor footwork, which leads to inaccuracy. Maybe that's the root of it. Okay. Thin frame, which seems a little contradicting to rare athlete. Needs to get stronger for NFL. And these two, Zach, right at the end here. Are you ready for this? Alarming Wonderlic score.
Alarming, okay.
13. And too much of one of the guys could stand to be more of a leader.
Okay. I mean,
can really throw the ball. I wish he stood out more. But he's rare.
He's rare. Fine. I think that's all fine. Like, you know what? Some of those I think are fair, but I think Lamar has proven to be a leader, at least this year. You know, I think that's a valid critique, honestly, in terms of what we saw for him prior to this season. I think he was kind of minding his own business, but I think now that he's paid and the Ravens like dedicated their entire franchise essentially and made him the guy, now he's like given the reins to be the guy. So
I'm with you. If I had to put in the bow, like, I think that file is fine. I think two things are alarming to me. One, which you nailed. I think he has overcome a lot of those weaknesses and has clearly outperformed them. And I feel like we sometimes still talk about him like he has the same weaknesses and hasn't developed, which is maybe lack of attention by the media or something. I don't know.
It's just the easiest things to point to.
The easiest things to point to. Yes. And I don't know, like, sometimes I think quarterbacks get too much credit for being leaders on the field and decision makers. Like you have a ball and you're throwing it, so you are making decision-making processes. But like, I don't know, is Peyton Manning a cerebral assassin just because he calls a lot of audibles? I don't know, you know, he is. That's a very extreme example. But I don't like, how much does Lamar have to do to ever get that credit? Like, I think he could play for a million years. Steve Curry in the chat. Good at football, strength, weakness, not white. I think that's pretty good.
Honestly, that's pretty accurate.
Because that would be my only thing is like how how much does he have to be beloved by his teammates and everything we always hear? And then like, he's never like a field general. I've never heard it be like, wow, his thought process, it like, boy, his legs, like that's what I hear every time. And I don't know if that's more critique of sports media than it is like the league. I don't know. But one thing's for sure in the Texans game, to bring it back to that, best team won. Lamar's the best player in the field. I think that was the separation there. My question to you, one big question from the game. Obviously, Texans are one of the best stories in the NFL this year.
Yep.
What do they need besides more time?
They need more talent. I mean, much like the Packers, which we'll talk about, like they overachieved what their talent level is for sure. And they did it with, good coaching, and they just didn't really make mistakes. I think offensively, like they're just so fucking young. Like one more year, they're going to be even better. Defensively, they're just not very talented, to be honest. They need another edge rusher. They need probably a decent safety, and they need another linebacker. And then at that, I mean, they would have thrived with D'Amico putting on a helmet as well. Like if he could have also played this year, they would have been easily like in the playoffs a lot earlier. They're a good team though. Like they're built in a way that they're not going to fall off. There's no shot.
They're not going to fall off. My one ask of them is keep the pedal down. I think Miko helps them do that. That's clearly his mentality.
They need to keep their offensive coordinator too.
They need to keep their offensive coordinator. I think, they're going to get a lot of eyes on their personnel because of how good a year they had. So I hope they can keep folks around. My big thing is they take a huge step forward. Their whole division takes a huge step back. Like, I think we're all like Jacksonville's shakier than we thought. Vrabel leaves. So like, where does that leave Tennessee?
I think Colts are dangerous though.
I think Colts are dangerous in the sense of betting on them is dangerous. I think they are not. Here's what I will say. They could either be good or bad. Like I've got no read on them, but I think in terms of consistent good, there is I guess the Texans could feel the Titans market is like maybe another team is good in that division, but could the Texans always be good in that division? Yes. Do I think JJ Watt wants to come back so bad? 100%. Every time I hear him talk, he's like, give me a new nose. I'm in there.
For sure. I think people forget how good Anthony Richardson was, though.
I know.
Like
you're right.
The issue is he was active for 5 weeks. He played in 4 games, and I think he finished 1 game. So, like, if he can stay a little healthy, like that's going to be huge.
100%. I think for fans at home, like I am notably like a young quarterback gets hurt and I'm like, oh, their career's done. So I don't know why that's like I just assume you're out. Like you'll never be the same. Like Burrow's done, dude. So what's Cincinnati gonna do? Sure. But I hope you're right because Richardson's so good. But yeah, hell of a year for this Texans team. One of the most fun to root for. And Zach, I think speaking of one of the most fun teams to root for, you're going to get much more coverage of this if you listen to Lombardi Sweep, but we will briefly dive into it. I will say, Packers fan, I'm not going to go into X's and O's that you'll get into on that show, but for this game and especially just a season before we deservedly so talk about the 49ers more, this is as much as I've rooted for a Packers team in a while, in the sense of I usually watch Packers teams with the dread of, God, if we don't win, we're bums. And this team, I was like, give it your best shot. Like what the like, let's see what happens. And somehow I still left the game going, we should have won. I can't believe they did that to me. But it was like I left feeling disappointed, which I did not think was on the card going into the game.
You should feel that way though.
We had it. And that's the part that stinks. My lovely partner Claire said it best. Like, I think there's a lot of criticism to go around for how the game ended, and like Love obviously deserves some of it. I think it's a shame it ended on a pick, because I hope that Jordan Love at least is someone that we're like, cool. Be the quarterback. I don't think, he's necessarily like an elite quarterback. I just think he's good enough if you have a good team around him, is my current read. Yeah. So I don't know. Fun game though. And that's kind of when I break down. Any thoughts on the Packers before we just get into like this game?
I think your gauge on Jordan Love is correct. However, I don't think anybody else is where you're at, which is the issue.
He's either terrible or the second coming, or I guess third coming.
Everyone is now thinking like, man, this Packers team overachieved, but at least we know Jordan Love is a franchise quarterback and probably going to be a Hall of Famer. And now the Packers are going to extend him with that same mindset because not only did he prove himself, like you can't say he didn't.
Yeah, correct.
This is Brian Gutekunst's guy.
Yeah.
Like he hitched his entire wagon to him. So now Jordan Love's going to reap the benefits of it. But like I said, I think on the show and for sure like a million times on Lombardi, our championship window is this year and next year, even though it shouldn't be because of where Jordan Love's contract is going to be. So either he's going to have to greatly improve or he will just be overpaid relative to his talent level, which is fine. It is what it is. But my entire opinion of that entire game was if Anders Carlson makes the kick, but we all knew a miss was coming. But let's just say he made the kick. I think the 49ers win. Like I just feel like it was set up the entire way. Like the Packers multiple times where it's like, we can't settle for 3 points here. We need to get a touchdown. If we kick another field goal, the Niners are going to win. What do? We kick a field goal. We get 0 points, whatever it may be. I mean, a huge run by Aaron Jones late in the game. We don't capitalize on points. It's just over and over. I will say, though, and people immediately are blaming two people, Anders Carlson, rightfully so, and then Joe Barry. I don't know how you blame that game on Joe Barry. I don't know. No. I think he's for sure earned himself another year, which he shouldn't. He shouldn't have it, but I think there's zero doubt that he's back.
Yeah, I think he's back. And honestly, it's like one of those things where it's like, all right, Joe, here you go, I guess. Like, prove us wrong then. Like, come back and do it. I just don't think it's bad. It's bad GMing and like team running to fire him at this point. I think like you can't like I almost think you would do damage to like morale possibly if people left behind of like what did he need to do to keep his job? I guess would be like my thought. But I guess you could also run a team without that mentality of like, is there someone out there who could do it better? Yes. Okay. Well, then we're going to move on. So I'd be fine with either. This is as good a part to insert this as ever. You know, running backs had a fucking meeting, a coup d'etat at the start of the season because they were so undervalued. What do we got to do to get the rest of the league in on a coup d'etat against kickers? Because I can't be having two of the best games I've ever seen. Josh Allen is out here looking like a once-in-a-lifetime talent, and the Packers so overachieve. We're going to beat the best team of the NFC, and it comes down to an Irish guy from Australia. What are we doing? What are we doing? That can't be. What a weird game we're fans of.
That's true. I will say, in terms of the Bills thing, they paid their kicker. He's a good kicker. He just plays for the Bills. That was going to happen. That's destiny. Yes. For the Packers, it's like, this is what you get for drafting a kicker. Like, this is what you get. I don't know. We've proven there is zero reason not to just sign a free agent kicker.
Yeah.
We've seen it. And now we got the Brandon Aubreys of the world who come up from a developmental league. He grew up not even playing football, playing soccer, and he's a top 5 kicker in the league. That's all you got to do. Take the guy who's proven. That's it.
I know. And listen, my whole thing, kickers are crapshoots. So I think that is why you sign somebody, because you're hosed no matter what. Like, would we like?
Yeah. Well, there's no point in locking. There's no point in locking yourself into a contract by drafting one.
No, I 100% am with you. That was frustrating. Let's all say it out loud. It wasn't his fault they lost the game. I'm with you that even if he ties it, I'm with it. Just a super X's and O's thing quick here, and this goes into the 49ers thing. If 49ers are trailing, that's tough. Dude, that for as good a team as they have, that is tough for them to score points quickly.
Why though, Jake? Why?
I don't, it's hard. I think
there's a reason why. Tell me why they can't ever score points under Kyle Shanahan. It's a pretty easy reason.
Brock Purdy.
Yeah, or insert any quarterback Kyle Shanahan's ever had.
I know.
He knows how to pick them. Jimmy Garoppolo, Matt Ryan, Brock Purdy. They're all very similar.
Yeah.
in looks and in playing styles.
That's so true. He so didn't want Trey Lance. People forget that.
No. He wanted Mac Jones, who falls right in line with the rest of them.
It's so funny. How can I get a quarterback I don't have to pay? Oh, he's not good. Or not good enough. Whatever. I don't like being out here being like, why does every time someone talk about Brock Purdy, I feel like there's about to be a cross in my yard? I don't like he's fine. He's absolutely fine. Here's what drives me nuts. We have a kick return to the 25-yard line, and we can't score a touchdown. Aaron Jones should have scored a touchdown. Tucker Kraft blocked somebody. It's the only one. And in hindsight, I was right. I was screaming in the living room. Jesus Christ, block one guy, and he's gone. And that's all we needed. One more touchdown. But it didn't happen. Brock Purdy, nickels and dimes them to a comeback. One good drive, I guess, is all they needed. And I guess what was frustrating is like you didn't punish. Yeah. My thing with San Francisco is if they own a game where they can run, boy, are you fricked.
You're screwed.
Yeah, because McCaffrey, I legitimately think McCaffrey, never mind. I just said so many good things about Lamar. Lamar should be MVP. I wish McCaffrey could win MVP in a different scenario. But he won't and he shouldn't this year. But 49ers, Zach, I don't think this team's it. I don't know. Sorry. One, I'm encouraging folks to join our live chats in the future comments, but Steve Curry, I got Purdy Cousins swap going down.
Similar.
Very similar. And that will be seen as an upgrade. And I think because of the money, it's not. And that's very funny. But I don't know. What is your take on this 49ers team? Because in terms of storyline, this game rocked. In terms of like things on the field, 49ers fans just had to be shitting themselves this entire game, right? Like that's crazy.
If I'm a 49ers fan, I am so scared just of the Lions at this point. Because like we almost lose to the Packers, which never happens. And then now we have to stare down the fucking Detroit Lions. And if we don't lose, then the Detroit Lions made it to the Super Bowl because of us. And that's a weird spot to be in. But I mean, we've seen time and time again how Brock Purdy's not very good when he doesn't have all of his all pros with him. We saw Deebo Samuel go out right away. Brock Purdy didn't look very good. He has a shoulder injury. It sounds like he's 50-50 to play. If Deebo Samuel doesn't play against the Lions, like I don't think they win. I think the Lions may beat them.
Yeah. He also should have had 2 more picks this game. Not in like like literally hit 2 guys' hands and they went down. So like I mean, listen, all of that, we're Packer fans, like Niners fans, Niners for sure the better team. I think they win this game 9 out of 10 times, and this was one of those 9. Like, great team. And maybe is like they just came out of a bye. Maybe this is like like we got to get our stuff together.
Purdy hadn't played in 20 days.
Yeah. So maybe it's that. I don't know. By the way, next time, like if you can, I wouldn't throw it for 10 downs. I would just see what happens. Like do some shuffle passes or something. Like let's just see what McCaffrey could do. Like we could shuffle pass it. Samuel's being out obviously hurt their total game plan. But I don't know. This game, though, I will say, and this goes into we are storyline show. Like, what is the narrative of the NFL? I think 4 perfect storylines. And I think as much as I hate it for a Packer fan, quietly, us being heartbroken by the 49ers has become a pretty good.
It's a great bit.
It's really a great bit. It's a great bit. Like, how did we in a game where I literally was like, If we lose, fine. They can't hurt
me. Exactly. Big
wrong. They hurt me. How is that possible? It's so fricked. So this game was awesome. A very good, fun football game. And I think gives us a great NFC Championship game with a clear heel and clear babyface. I think that's great. Two very good football teams. I would say, no doubt in my mind, the two best teams in the NFC, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Easy to say that when they're both still in, I guess. But like,
it's true though. It's true. I think the best 4 teams in football by far made it.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel like chalky. Like, feels good. And like one of those teams, Detroit Lions, the one game that I was like, there's no storyline. Like, the only thing that can happen here is I'm hurt, because if the Buccaneers win, like we're fricked. Like, I don't. It's like, I do not. Sorry, Baker, don't win. Like, we've got nothing for you. But a really good game, and honestly was surprised by how into I was, like, two desperate teams. Like, we need to be validated so bad. You've got the Bulls and like Baker dynamic of like, we've been outcast to this team to lose.
Yep.
And no one still thinks we're going to win, but secretly we've got a lot of good wideouts and stuff because we still thought Brady would be here. So that was weird. And meanwhile, on the Lions side, like, they do it again. Like a fun team to watch, very deep. God, I can't shake the feeling that like they're doomed, but I am enjoying it for now.
They seem like the team of destiny. They put that label on the Bills all year long because of the ambulance. And then because they had to go on a run just to make the playoffs, all of a sudden they're the 2 seed. Now Patrick Mahomes has to travel to them. Oh, they're the team of destiny. They're going to make it. Meanwhile, the Lions, just like every step of the way, they keep getting better and better. They were, I think, 0-10 the first 10 games under Dan Campbell. And like the people wanted to fire him. Then I think they started the next year 0-6. They keep getting better and better. And now this is a damn good football team. Jared Goff's playing by far his best football. He is a completely changed person, not just changed player, like a changed person. And Dan Campbell continues to somehow invoke emotion out of every person who listens to him after the game. Like, his messages somehow are the exact same, but never ever dull. Like, they always hit.
And then they signed Zach Ertz. Like a guy who was like
sneaky. This is sneaky because everyone's like, oh, Zach Ertz, he's barely going to play. He just destroyed the Niners earlier this year, and he's been playing in their. This is an intel sign. He's bringing all the info that he knows from Arizona. This is great.
It's an intel sign. It's also a guy who notably said, it's such a good signing. It doesn't hurt you at all. And it's so low stakes, but it's so good because it's intel. And also the team and him agreed, like, cut me because I want to join a contender. And that being Detroit is awesome because we're a contender. Like, that's what that signing says. Like, he came to us. You got quotes from Campbell being like, who said no one wants to come to Detroit, which is a shot. And some guys who were on the Cowboys who said, well, who the hell would want to go to Detroit? So a lot is happening. This game was awesome. It was probably the hardest game for me to watch because I was like, I just do not want the Buccaneers to win, but a good game. Like to talk about the Buccaneers a little bit. Like, I find it funny that, like, I can't believe how inconsistent Baker is. It's just why, like, he just is. Like, it's like when he's throwing right, he's like legit elite in some ways. And then I don't know what happens. His spirit leaves him. He sees ghosts, Sam Darnold style, and he's throwing balls that should never be thrown. But Mike Evans continues to be probably top 3 wide receiver in football that no one cares about. So a very fun game. I'm excited about what happens next. Aiden Hutchinson quietly just becoming America's darling.
He's underrated. He has to be. He is what people think Nick Bosa is in terms of this year. Nick Bosa is still a great player. He didn't play like it this year.
No.
He played fine, but Aiden Hutchinson has been by far the best defensive player in the playoffs. And he just embodies Detroit. I mean, him just staring up at the Detroit fans losing their mind. I mean, this is the Michigan kid. You know, he's freaking out at the same time. And this is a guy who's getting it done, by the way, with like no other edge rusher. So like he's getting doubled and triple teamed a la JJ Watt early in his career and getting it done the same way. If Detroit just gets a good edge rusher this offseason, which, you know, now that they're contenders, they are a team that's capable of signing one of those veteran edge rushers. Aiden Hutchinson is going to be on Defensive Player of the Year watch next year for sure. He's so good.
And who doesn't want to play for Dan Campbell? I mean,
yes.
I think I think Detroit's best asset is that I think they have a clear weakness, and I don't think it can hurt them at this point, in the sense that, like, we're already here. It is what it is. We've talked about in the show before. I think they're too loyal. Jared Goff is playing as good a football as Jared Goff is, and I think if one of these draft picks had been, let me be as sports talky as possible. If one of these draft picks had been CJ Stroud, like, are you fucking kidding me? You know, or like Richardson or something like that. But instead,
they got Hendon Hooker, who's getting healthy. He's good.
Getting healthy, getting good. And, you know, also, who were these draft picks? Penei Sewell, who's the fucking man, and Hutchinson, who's the dude. So it's not like they picked wrong at all. Their GM is one of the best in the biz. I love that their owner and GM are getting like appropriate shout outs. Like, I think they're a really well-run team who made big moves. Like, people forget about that, but like the Swift move was huge. They got Montgomery too, like a really deep backfield. I love this team. I just think I don't even know on paper, like, give me Goff over Purdy. Like,
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a tight game, a really good game. I don't know.
Both of these teams need to play with a lead, which is what's interesting though. So like, we'll see what happens. We've seen both of these teams play from behind, and it's not very good.
I just still think the Lions season ends on a fake punt. I don't. Like, it's got it. Some triple option goes wrong. Like, it just feels like it's gotta. I don't know. Like, all they need to do is run it and they throw it. Like, something like that feels like it's coming, but I hope not. And by the way, for all the shit that I feel like I especially have given Jared Goff, I said this to Zach before the show, I couldn't be more rooting for him, right? Like, there's so much in that of like, if he is the guy who gets, I mean, it feels ridiculous to say the guy who wins a Super Bowl for Detroit. That is a crazy sentence. But like, if he does that, it's one of the greatest sports stories of all time. Like, a team that said, fuck these picks to ditch him. And he gets one. My only wish, and I'm sorry, Matt Stafford, is they never won. If they had barely lost that Super Bowl, we'd be in the midst of the greatest story of all time. For sure. I love that. And now, Zach, we've got three quarterbacks who I would be happy for. As much shit as I think Brock Purdy deserves, like, that's awesome. Like, think of the chips on his shoulders. Lamar deserves it more than anyone in the world, and Jared Goff as well. One quarterback, Zach, who does not deserve it, except in terms of being very good at football. How do they keep getting away with it? It's insane how the Chiefs keep getting away with it.
Well, here's the thing, Jake. They keep getting away with it because we keep discrediting them.
No one believes in them.
It's true, though. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, entering the playoffs, there are 13 teams who have a chance, and one team everyone declared was dead, and that was the Chiefs. And I said that was the team to fucking be afraid of. And again, even after just beating the Bills, everyone has had a similar feeling to you. Like, how do they keep getting away with it? But also, how do the Chiefs do this with their worst team they've ever had with Mahomes? And that's the issue in your statement. It's not. Their defense is the best it's ever been with
Correct.
Mahomes. Their kicking is lights out. Their running game is the best it's been with Mahomes. The only thing that's slightly worse is the offense, the passing offense, which proved in the Bills game and the week before that he can still pass it to Kelsey, to Rice, to people like that if need be. But that for sure, that's the passing is taken a slightly step back. But if that's all you're gauging it on, like this team's way better than it's ever been.
This team's very good. And to clarify for me anyway, when I say keep getting away with it, I don't know how they keep barely winning games.
Sure. Like, I mean, they've always done that though.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's like they always reel me in. They're showmen. They
really are.
They are showmen. No, I mean, to give myself a little credit, and you agreed with it, so it's a call for the show. But who's surprised that the first touchdown in the game is fucking Travis?
I know. Weird.
Like,
who
it's like, oh,
guess that.
Wow, it's almost like they were resting him. All the play they hadn't ran all year, boom, touchdown. My only thing, this game was awesome. I was literally like, Bills, do it, because if I think the Chiefs now have too much momentum. Like
to lose to the Ravens, you mean?
Yeah,
I agree.
That's my fear. But you can't say that I'm not doubting them. I'm very much not doubting them. And maybe that's the thing. It's like Tinkerbell. If we all clap, it's like reverse belief. If we all believe, maybe they'll lose. So I don't know. This game was great. Once again, WWE logic. If a match is good, just book it again 5 years later. Bills just don't score one more time than the Chiefs and miss a kick, and home we go. It's insane. The cameraman wanted to find Diggs looking sad and confetti so bad. That's my favorite post game take. Like, just searching for him.
He's got to be gone. Bills need to get rid of him.
I know.
He's got to be gone.
But yeah, here's my question to you is I thought the Bills were going to get whacked.
It's always going to be close between the two, but we know what's going to happen every time.
That part is true. My thing now is, like, in years past, I felt like they blew it. This year, I was impressed that they are that caliber of team after, like, they were a mediocre team most of this year. My question is, like, do they need to blow this up, or like, could this team be built around?
You're not going to blow it up or even replace somebody and become better. I don't think. I just think know your role. Know your role, shut your mouth. You're the fucking Buffalo Bills. You're going to be great with Josh Allen. But, when it comes down to it, you're going to do what you do. That's your job.
I think, what they don't have? People love playing the Bills. That should not be they should hate playing you.
Correct.
Like, I don't know I'm trying to think for some reason my brain went sign Lance Stevenson. I don't know what kind of defense he plays on the corner, but get someone like that where it's like, maybe that's what they were going with Vaughn. But
I guess, but no one's afraid to play Vaughn. He's great. He's always been great, but you're never just like terrified of Von Miller.
I wish, just go I would love a trade or something of like, and yes, just clear defensive talent would be helpful. But I'd like someone who's just like, fucking hell, we've got to play Aaron Donald like that. Or like, he's an example. Q is his nickname. I think Quincy from the Jets.
Quinnen Williams.
Quinnen Williams. Very, very good. And people just hate playing him, right? Because he blows everything up. Like a move like that or something where
they were the ones who should have gone after Chris Jones for the Chiefs.
100%. Just like somebody where it's like, oh God, we have to play. Like, for as much as I don't like them, like people don't like playing the Bosa's. People don't, like something like that of like, I need a move like that where you have someone, that like causes that. Sorry, a comment out of nowhere really caught me off guard, but someone that makes other teams not excited to play the Bills instead of everyone being excited to beat the Bills.
It's offense too, though. Like the only person you do not want to play against is Josh Allen, and it's because he's going to keep running it at you, and he's a big son of a bitch, and he's great. In the 3 playoff losses against the Chiefs, I think he's also turned it over one time, which is insane. Like I would have guessed way more. So he's not even the one losing games. But it's like, okay, our best offensive player minus Josh Allen is Stephon Diggs. We won't throw him the ball, so he's not a factor. Let's draft a couple really good offensive players. Let's draft James Cook and Dalton Kincaid, who are both finesse players. Like that's not good. They need a George Kittle. They need a feared like bulldozer running back. Like they need someone to embody Buffalo, and they just don't have that.
I would have loved
South Florida guys.
Could that have been where Taylor or Barkley end up in a trade? Like that would have been great.
Yeah.
Some runner that people just hate. What's Eddie Lacy doing? Like who do people? Can you get Derrick Henry? Like I don't know. Like
you know who they did? Derrick Henry would be great. They signed Leonard Fournette and never played him. He's still on that team today.
Yeah, I know. What's Mike Allstott doing? Like just need somebody like that. Man, but it was a great game. It came down just like it should have. But think of that storyline wise, like Ravens, Texans, we get Lamar versus Stroud, which played out perfectly. Like I think like young plucky guy doesn't quite have it yet. I think that's awesome. Those two teams kind of being mirrors of each other in a lot of ways was fun. You've got Packers 49ers like playing a very fun version of their heartbreak. Like this time the Packers somehow shouldn't be winning and are, and then still blow it is great.
They sucked you in, and then boom, they turned it.
Boom.
The classics.
Two cursed teams, like the Buccaneers less cursed as a franchise, but every player on there is cursed. And instead we get like Lions powering through, which I love. And the Chiefs and Bills do it again. Like a great, great story. I have one complaint, Zach. One complaint.
Okay.
How are the Chiefs faces? Like, why are we supposed to be rooting for them? We should clearly be Team Lamar and everything. And it's one person's fault. Do you know whose fault it is?
Isaiah Pacheco.
No. All you had to do was retire, dude. All you had to do was retire. Jason Kelce shows up at a fucking game.
Hell yeah.
Jason Kelce taking shots out of a bowling ball before the game starts. He's walking out like an escaped zoo animal wearing a big Yeti shirt. He's holding little girls up so they can see Taylor, so they're 5 feet away from her, which is hilarious. He's screaming into the air, and now I have to root against that team.
That's right. I mean, I'm not, but it is what it is. The Chiefs have never been heels to me. I will say that.
Oh, they are to me.
I know, but I think you're actually wrong. I think today they're bigger heels than they are 2 days ago. People are really hating on the Chiefs. And to be honest, this isn't what it should be. The biggest reason they're heels is still Taylor Swift, without a doubt.
And which it shouldn't be, but you're correct. Yeah.
But people hate the Chiefs. They think they're coddled. They think they get the calls every single time. They don't really like Patrick Mahomes. I think people are indifferent on Travis Kelce, but they're turning on him because the podcast is big and because of Taylor Swift, whatever. But I mean, this weekend, they are heels against the Ravens. However, we know what's going to happen. Okay. I love the Ravens. I hope the Ravens win. We know what's going to happen. So Chiefs are going to make the Super Bowl. And the NFL has done such a good job at building up the two NFC teams. Like the 49ers couldn't be bigger heels. People hate them.
Yeah.
And the Lions couldn't be bigger faces. So no matter who,
perfect. Yeah.
That game's perfect. And whoever wins and is in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, you can flip the Chiefs either direction. They're flexible. They could go either way. And it's perfect. You can call the story however you want to see it.
I think it's good. I think there is, it's like a little bit like with the baseball World Series of like, I think there's one option where there isn't like a good story. And I think that's what we're going to get. And weirdly, it's who I'm rooting for this week is Ravens Lions. Like
that's the worst story, unfortunately.
Yes, but everyone will be happy, but then it'll be like, I guess we're rooting against Baltimore.
Well, what will happen if that happens? It'll be boring going in. Fan bases, people hype up both fan bases, both pretty vanilla milk, blah, blah, blah. Don't like it. And then Lamar's just going to run past Detroit. And it's going to be like a 30-point Super Bowl. It's like, oh, worst Super Bowl of all time. People get so butthurt immediately.
Literally the World Series. Yes, I 100% with you. I think that's fair. Any other outcome, though, to your point, I'm with. I think for me, because of, like I said, how I feel about the Chiefs, I think Chiefs Lions is incredible if Lions win. I think it's a little brutal if they lose.
I disagree. I think Dan Campbell can't win. He loses his charm if he wins a Super Bowl. I think he needs to win it eventually, but he can't win a Super Bowl. This is too quick, too fast. He needs to have that fire burning.
I do have one way that they turn the Ravens heel, and I think it's very possible.
Okay, what's that?
One of the Harbaughs makes fun of Campbell for crying.
Yes, that's very true, actually.
That's 100%. Papa Harbaugh. Papa Harbaugh says, no man cries. And then Dan Campbell gets out and be like, you don't know, man.
Michigan fans will get so riled up, too, because what will happen is Jim will leave Michigan the same week that the Lions, who they also cheer for, have to play against the Ravens, probably. Like, it'll all stack up perfectly. Where it's like, oh, we hate those motherfuckers. Like, it's going to be so good.
Yeah. It will be so good. I also think, let's say it out loud, I don't want it to happen because the NFL has done really good, to your point, on the NFC side, so much so that I really want Detroit to win.
Of course you do.
But if the bad guys win, then they are even more bad guys. Then we have a clear heel 49ers thing. Taylor, what's the only way we can make people like Taylor? She's gonna freaking be late to her own concert to come watch the Super Bowl. That's like the rumors now. It's like there's a scheduling conflict. She'd have to fly from Tokyo to the game.
Oh, really?
So she's gonna show up halftime. Probably they'll be down 14. She shows up, big comeback. Here we go. She brings the special stuff.
She should show up during the halftime show. People will be pretty pissed off if she steals the halftime show, but it would be kind of funny. That would win me over.
Yeah, it'd be funny. And that be clear, like we get a whole week of Kelsey press conferences and stuff. I want Jason at the halftime show. Like, that's funny. Like, give me, by the way, Jason, here's the tip. You're mad at everyone for thinking you're retired. Don't immediately show up shirtless drunk somewhere. It doesn't convince me you have a job.
Yeah.
That was my favorite. I'm not done. Why would I be done? And then taking shots out of things.
I didn't realize I've always loved Jason Kelsey. I've liked him more the more I've heard from him. I didn't realize he was my favorite current player until after that game. And that bums me out. I think, oh no. Like, this is terrible. Terrible situation.
It is like we don't get another. I really thought we were going to get a Eagles Super Bowl, and so no retirement speech is insane to me. He'll save it for the Hall of Fame, but I mean, he won't throw out the suit just yet. But I do think that's wild. I will say though, here's a take. I love Jason Kelsey. That is lineman. Like, I feel could that have been David Bakhtiari? 100%. Like, linemen are psychos in like the best way possible. So like, I think that would have been fun. But like everyone's like, can you believe how awesome Kelsey is? And I'm like, yes, his offensive linemen are the best because they're kind of celebrities and kind of not, which is
every lineman wants to be in the spotlight, but once there's even a little glimmer, we want to get out of it. Like, this isn't it.
I know.
Everyone is a sarcastic asshole. They are genuine, nice, funny football guys. They're meatheads. Like, there's always that meathead element, which makes it the best. And you want them in a bar fight.
You absolutely want one in a bar fight. I'm going to tee you up because I know you got a good one. I want to hear your best. Like, you've worked with a lot of linemen. You are a lineman. You know linemen. Give me your best like lineman story of a guy who's just so lineman. You've got a couple to choose from, whether you pick your favorite Stoney story or go elsewhere. I only have high school to draw on, but I am going to pick one that's great because it's very lineman. Okay. I'm going to pick a story about Ryan Bridges, friend of the show. Just the biggest meathead you'll ever meet. But, heart of gold. I have some crazy stories, Randy, but not a lot of crazy football stories. But my biggest lineman story is Ryan Bridges once won a football thing, and then just to show you illustrated, I'll also set you up with the track and field story because they made him a shot putter against all better judgment. He once trap blocked our own tight end, which was like my favorite thing I've ever seen in a practice. He went to pull and no defensive player was there, and he thought Sean Hayden was on the defense, so he fucking lit him up. And he was playing tight end, and then he said, "Keep your head on a swivel," which I was like, "That's awesome. Always, that's so fucking good." And yeah, same guy who like he laid down on the ground and he just said, "I thought someone yelled cookies." No one yelled cookies, dude. You were just afraid of a chop block, so he was just sitting on the ground. So that was good. But internet's a little choppy. Maybe it's because the internet's going wild. But that was fun. And other shot put story, he got told how to shot put and then still decided to throw it like a baseball. So that is Ryan Bridges in a nutshell. And those are some fun stories. Zach had to leave. He's going to reset, come back with internet. Shout out to the chat. If you are listening at home, first off, join us live for next time. But Randy has been here for a while, and I don't think we've given a shout out to yet. Steve Curry's been here the whole time. Super Gray 6 says hi, Zach, which is nice. But first off, Randy keeps just saying nice things about us, dude. You could be here anytime. I like that. But most food you ever ate in one night, I once had 16 steaks in one night. We went to a steak buffet. And Jesus. Yeah, well, I had a friend who was convinced. It was the only way to like make them pay. Like it's like we got to like make them regret the the choices. And that was how we had to just eat steak. So that's probably mine. Any crazy or good lineman stories, Zach?
I mean, it's hard to think of them just because it's just linemen being linemen.
Yeah, I know.
Stoney, you brought up. And he is truly a one of one. Man, on top of being his coach, he also didn't trust anybody else with his inhaler but me.
It's so good. That's such a good one. Yeah.
So he would race to the sideline and essentially die until I could find his inhaler. I'd have to like puff it into his mouth on the ground. This is the 400-pound man. That was good. He's also, I mean, as the name indicates, the man is high 24/7. But he's just a dumb football guy too, in the nicest way of all time. Like he is like super nice, chill, and then that moment that he snaps, he's the scariest motherfucker I've ever seen in my life.
Which, by the way, Lane Johnson in a nutshell.
I mean, all of them. Panay Sewell,
can't stay off the juice.
Yeah, can't stay off the juice.
It's the best line
speech of all time, man. It's so good.
No, I know. But linemen are wild. And Zach, I think the best part about Jason Kelsey running around looking like a happy Viking is he reminded me of our sponsor. So for folks listening at home, we just finished our collection. So we're about to re-up. But you want to support the show, one, like and subscribe, leave a comment wherever you are watching. It's much appreciated. And then also, shortly and simply, do you like a protein powder that also provides daily vitamins and supports our favorite tennis sisters? Well, then Happy Viking is the choice for you. Promo code Flurry.
Yeah, Jake, who's your favorite tennis twins? Do you have a preference or?
Well, I've never seen Rafael Nadal in a room, so I think there could be two of them. But otherwise, I think it might be the Williams sisters, Zach.
Yes.
They're not twins, are they?
Twins, sisters, I don't know. But Serena came up with what I seem to be, or not Serena, Venus came up with what seems to be the best protein powder that I've encountered. It also has all the superfoods in it, so If you've heard of like Athletic Greens, it has all the superfoods and greens, like a green smoothie in it as well. Also a protein shake. Go to drinkhappyviking.com/flurry and you'll get 10% off your order. If you go there as well and subscribe on top of it, you will also get a percentage off for subscribing. You'll get extra 3 samples of the chocolate. There's all kinds of stuff. The chat's popping off with a bunch of random good stuff right now. But go to drinkhappyviking.com/flurry and get a discount, support the show, better your health. And it's really good for everybody involved. Randy is very inquisitive tonight, and I appreciate it.
Thank you for a random compliment, Randy. I love it. Trevor, hot tub stream coming soon.
Yep, we've been planning it. We're hoping.
Yeah, I do love that. I tell you what, I saw 2 things in there that I think we could talk about possibly then in the show. A couple weeks ago, Zach, you had a segment talking about college experience. There is a question here about crazy college stories. So I can tee you up if there's any more questions you have in that realm. But I know what we're closing the show on, Zach, because Randy, you've stumbled into something here in your pot of questions. You've got a question in here called any tennis stories. And
boy, do I.
Boy, does Zach have tennis stories. So that's great. But shout out Mike Bruner. Oh my God, nepotism in the chat. I love it. That's great. Thanks for listening. So Zach, any college questions, and then we for sure are ending on the greatest tennis team to ever existed, the Outbound Tennis Club.
Truthfully, I can't believe it didn't keep going. I don't have any more questions for a college. What's your exact title?
I work in university housing. My hall director at Stout, it's called the residence life coordinator.
Okay. So Randy, with that in mind, or Stu, for anyone in chat, if you've ever had any questions that you want to ask to somebody who is a housing coordinator,
RA, whatever. Yeah,
anything with that, either say them now or comment them on the video afterwards, and we can ask in a future Flurry Sports podcast. But that is, Jake can talk about that question for hours as well. Injuries.
Craziest college story, I actually do have one. This is like a crazy drinking story, and actually was not personally encountered by me. I helped tangentially, but there was a student at my undergrad, and I didn't encounter this at work capacity, so I'm going to straight up. This student was at lacrosse, and one of the first weekends there, suddenly was going viral online because he just was straight up drinking a handle of Jack. And everyone's like, nice. Stop, can't do that, chugging it. And suddenly my friend goes to the room because they didn't want to go get an RA. So they're like, an RA, right? Which he's like, which is kind of like knowing a doctor. He's like, I don't really know how to do anything, but got him. Friend called the cops. This guy blows a 0.2. And while he's unconscious, it's rising. So things are bad. He flatlines twice that night, comes back, is seen at a house party the next night. Winner of the intramural volleyball tournament that year, the Flatliners. Guy never bought a drink for the rest of his life. But it's just, I met him one time. He lived in the same hall as Em, which is why I know so well. So she was on his volleyball team, by the way. So proud flatliner, Emily Osmond. Nice. But the one time he was like, I've never had more people ask me to drink than the time it almost killed me. Everyone was like, okay, let's not fucking do that. So that is for sure the craziest, because it's just I can't. It's so college student that of course he went back out. I'm not even you would, because you're a college bro, and all you've proven is you are in fact immortal.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nothing can kill me. I've confirmed it. Alcohol can hurt me. It's my friend. So that is a crazy one that comes off. But if folks have more things they want to hear from the realm of college, happy to do that. Worst class I ever took. I mean, I signed up for a statistics course because I was like, I like baseball. Wasn't any good at it. So that was my least favorite. But Zach, I mean, take us home, Federer.
I mean, that is what they called me on the course of Elkmont, Wisconsin. So, springtime, I wasn't in track.
That's a great way to start a story. I'm so sorry. Springtime,
set the scene. Snow's about to melt. It's a little bit of snow, in the corners of the tennis court. You got to play around it. We decided, group of friends, like, hey, what would be the funniest thing for us to do at this point? And Zach Bruner, fresh off of a blown out shoulder, essentially, also in the group, we decide we should play tennis. Like, none of us have played tennis.
No.
Our Spanish teacher only talks about tennis. Let's mock her in the only way we know how, and that's starting a tennis club. So also understand this is a 800 person town. So we don't have a tennis team at our school. So we have to create a tennis team.
Yeah.
And so we get our rich friend, his mom, to supply us with some tennis gear.
The funniest part. Yeah. He gave you all rackets. That's so nice of her.
Rackets, new sleeves, tennis balls. Smelled great. I still have the tennis racket, I think. Like, I didn't give it back.
Something's got to kill a bat,
I mean, honestly, that's true. So then we just start playing. We're getting good to our standards. Obviously, we're volleying a little bit here, but the track team's also practicing outside. Jake and the track team at this point, right? Like, It was my senior year, right?
That's what they called them, Jake and the track team. Yeah,
Jake led the track team through hurdles and stuff. But at some point, we draw a crowd, as the greatest athletes of all time do. We draw a crowd. We get everybody surrounding. It felt like the fucking Australian Open out there or something.
The biggest Open. Yep.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Just swinging. It was the Outback. I was dislocating my shoulder with every overhand serve I attempt. And, we were grinding it out. I don't know any tennis slang, but we were grinding it out a little bit. What was your point of view watching that in person, being lucky enough to see that in person?
I asked you, why are you playing tennis? And you said, why not? That's my viewpoint, is like, you were in there, someone bought it for you. I also recall Logan Strom saying, right now we're seeing who can hit the ball the furthest. Which is
as tennis players do. Yeah.
As tennis players do. That was all very funny. I also think, like, straight up, if you've ever seen The Other Guys, you were other guysing it. Like, why'd you learn ballet? So I could make fun of the guys playing ballet. Like, that was my favorite part, was you all were like playing tennis every night. And if you asked you why, it was like to make fun of our teacher who likes tennis.
Yeah. We're telling her, like, she firmly believed that we were clocked at like 90, 95 serving. Like, that's what we're telling her. Meanwhile, I couldn't complete an overhand serve without popping my shoulder out. But
that was great. I do think, like, the punchline for me, which I think is great, is I remember the goal being, we want Elkmont to make a tennis team as we're all leaving. Like, get them to make a team and then none of us will play, which I think is a very funny, that's a good bit.
In our minds, anyone... I'm sure tons of people listening have been to Elkmont High School. If anyone knows, that little shitty tennis court outside of a school, just imagine your local park with a little kind of shitty tennis court with a fence around it because of all the shitty tennis players. You want to keep the ball in there. In my mind, there's going to be a plaque there dedicating the court to the boys.
The boys, may they rest eternal. I do love that. Listen, the Elkmont tennis team being sponsored by Flurry Sports is a very funny thing to do someday. So
a little roundabout. I would love it. Yeah, full circle moment here.
That is very good. But I just find it funny because, that and the reason you couldn't join track was because, quote unquote, you were playing tennis, which is, begging you. Everyone was like, you'd be so good at discus. You'd be so good at throwing things. Can't. I found my love.
Yeah, played tennis. Sorry.
It hurts
by the way, for sure. The football coach, who was also the throwing coach.
Yes. Yeah.
I've never seen somebody more disappointed when I said I was playing tennis. It was like I lost a father that day.
I can't imagine. Like to say, he must have been as disappointed then as when he gave me the speech about how someday I could be Josie Bauer if I just kept running. Josie, he can't think his way out of a paper box. But if by the way, Josie, if you're listening, not my words, okay? Coach B.
I'll take credit. Like, I mean, dumb son of a bitch, but strong.
Strong, very strong. But one hell of a coach. He snuck us cookies after practice.
As all the good coaches do.
That's
right.
Is
there any question in the chat that behooves you to answer it, Jake? Anything you want to go out on? There's a endless supply. You scroll and find the one, and I'll just say, if you're listening at home, thank you for listening. Subscribe wherever you're listening or watching. Just know every once in a while we will be doing the Flurry Sports Podcast live on the Flurry Sports YouTube. So subscribe over there. Hit the notification bell so you do not miss us going live whenever we do so you can jump in the chat and ask us questions live and be a part of the show. Like Stoof, like Randy, like everyone else who has commented. Appreciate you all. Really appreciate you, Stoof and Randy, who show up and make the streams interesting every time you do. Jake, any final thoughts? Any final question you want to go out on?
I'm going to go back to bubble tape or bubblicious and just both say, first off, Randy, you've had a lot of banger questions tonight. The one you just threw in there, worst 5 sports experiences, you reached too high. Trying to get me to do a top 5 here at the end. But bubble tape, bubblicious are both gums you go to when you truly don't care about gum.
For sure. It's about the gimmick. And at that point, I'm into the bubble tape. That's fun.
Oh my God. I don't know, man. I'm out. Maybe it's because I can't blow a bubble. It's like the kids who are like, what's your favorite candy? And they're like, fruit roll-ups. Grow the fuck up.
I don't like that. I don't like that because, notably, I don't like being sticky. And you're always going to get sticky with a fruit roll-up. What are you going to do? There's not much you can do. But wild. Are you a Big League Chew guy? Do you like Big League Chew?
Okay, well, I'm not much of a gum person in general, but when I do go to gum, I go Take 5.
Take 5's candy bar. You mean just 5 gum?
Oh yeah, 5. I take a 5.
Okay. I just chew out a Take 5 until it's a nice paste.
What part of I don't like gum did you understand? I would like a pretzel covered in chocolate. That's what I would like for my gum.
Fair enough. Favorite grinder has got to be John Gruden. We will go out on that. We'll be back next week. Or Snoop's a grinder. Aiden Hutchinson's a grinder. But we will be back next week to recap championship weekend, start previewing the Super Bowl. Little bit of an announcement. Reminder, one show after the Super Bowl, then season's over.
Yeah.
Season's over. So get your Flurry Sports fix in now, and then you'll have about a month to binge all of our episodes, all 168 other episodes besides this.
That's right. Until then, stay rowdy, say howdy, and next week you get to hear about my week in Iowa. I will be there for the next 7 days. So, and I do it for you people. Yeah, I know. Des Moines, get ready.